Alright, this is Tommy with AAA Exterminating Co of Raleigh. Headed back into town after a pretty long, hard, productive day. We're kind of at the end of winter, coming in the spring, and I think it's going to be a big season this year. We had a very mild winter in North Carolina. Almost no 2-week periods of hard freezes. I think we're going to be very, very busy this year. I think we get a lot of insects coming our way here in North Carolina this season. So over the winter, we did a little bit of restructuring, a little bit of research. Every year we like to kind of take a step back, look at what we're doing, how can we change it, can we make it better? And this year, probably the biggest thing we're going to be addressing is mosquito control. I've pretty much stayed away from mosquito control for most of my career, mainly because I didn't really like the way it was being approached. I don't like the idea of fogging people's yard every month. I just don't like that. I think it runs the risk of contamination, angry neighbors who don't want that going on, drift, label violations, also non-target insects being affected like honeybees and ladybugs, things like this. I just don't like the broadcast nature of the way most mosquitoes being done today, so I have avoided it. Now last year I went to a class done by one of our suppliers, Univar, and they introduced a new program, at least new for the United States. And I was just really intrigued by the way it worked. It was really interesting, their approach. You can get great mosquito control with no fogging. And you can supplement fogging if you want to, but basically I was really impressed with the way it worked. And I'm gonna show you that in a minute. But I just know that it's an interesting system. And so I decided that I wanted to take a look at it. I never like rolling out something new without being sure for myself that it works. I don't like selling something unless I know it works. So last year, we did some test sites. I tested my own house. We tested my neighborhood, the cul-de-sac I live in. Also our office there in Hope Mills, and a couple of Fayetteville locations. And I was absolutely blown away by the effectiveness of this system without doing any fogging. We were able to get excellent control, and I was really amazed by just how good it worked. And so we're really excited about this new program, and I'm going to be rolling it out really heavy this year. Now the Fayetteville office is not really equipped for it. They weren't really too interested in doing it this year. They're going to be doing the traditional fogging though. So if you're interested in that service, you can contact our Fayetteville location. You can have that done. In the Raleigh office though, we're going to be doing all of it. We're going to be doing this new system and also a little bit of fogging. But if you're in Fayetteville and you're interested in having this particular program, all you got to do is contact the Raleigh office. You can email us or call us, and we'll be glad to set you up. We are going to be opening up some routes in Fayetteville for this service, so contact the Raleigh office if you're interested in having this particular program done in Fayetteville. We'll be glad to help you. But I'm headed back to the office now. I'm going to break out one of these units and show you how it works and describe the technology behind it, the company, what they're doing all over the world right now, and I think you're going to be interested to see what's going on here. But if you like the content we're putting out there, please give us a like and a subscribe to our channel. And we try to put out good, informative content to let you know what's going on in the pest control industry and why you should use a professional.
Let's go!
All right, we're back at the shop. And what the system I'm talking about is called In2Care. It seems simple. It's like a flower pot basically, but inside this flower pot there's actually a lot of technology, and it's much more interesting than it looks. So the basic premise of how this system works and why I like it so much is it actually uses the way that nature works to help us target mosquitoes and to help us protect non-target insects such as honeybees. For example, the way that a honeybee collects pollen is when they're flying around, their wings flapping all the time creates a positive charge. When they land on a flower, the pollen has a negative charge. So the pollen jumps onto the bee basically. It's attracted to the bee. The same kind of technology is in use here. With mosquitoes, they're flapping their wings just like bees, and they develop a positive charge as they're traveling. The netting that In2Care uses to attach the fungus and the larvicide to actually has a negative charge. There's a coating on this netting that has a negative charge. So much like the bee collecting pollen, whenever a mosquito comes into this trap and lands on this net, the fungus and the insecticide or the larvicide literally jumps onto the mosquito and that mosquito will then go and lay eggs in other areas and contaminate other areas. Now it seems simple, but it's actually very, very effective, especially with the Aedes mosquito, which is the ones we're mostly targeting. This is the mosquito that's mostly responsible for Zika and a lot of the diseases that we're scared about. So what's interesting about this particular type of mosquito is it will lay its eggs in several different areas. So why is this better than fogging? When we're fogging a yard, there might be small areas that we just don't get to. And of course, like I said earlier, one of the bigger things is fogging is just a big blanket broad approach. And you're also killing non-target insects. And it's kind of, to me, it's kind of excessive. You're putting a lot of pesticide onto your property every single month. With this here, you're actually, the stuff that's being used in here, one is a fungus and one is a larvicide. The fungus gets onto the mosquito along with the larvicide, and the fungus will actually get into the mosquito, sort of infect it, and inhibit its ability to spread diseases, which is one way of defense, but also kind of makes them lethargic. You might see a couple flying around, but they really won't bite you. And then the larvicide, as they're going and they're traveling around to the other areas, they're contaminating areas that we may not otherwise get to. And the mosquitoes know exactly where they're going to lay their eggs. Now, the way this basically works is you have this trap here. Inside it, you fill it up with water. There's a floater. And every month we need to come out. Now this is a temporary sample net. This is not what the nets usually look like. Usually the nets have white stuff caked on them. The white stuff is a fungus with the larvicide and everything on there. So basically what we need to do is every month we need to change these out. We'll throw away the old one. And these, I haven't done any of these since last year. It gets a little tricky sometimes. Basically you set it around here. And every month we need to bring you a new one of these for each one of these units. And last year when we tried it, I did notice that, we tried to experiment with, how about if we go every 2 months? Or how about if we're a little bit late, what if we go 6 weeks? And we did find that it is definitely necessary to do this every 30 days, every month. You don't want to skip much time because it is not as effective. That is one thing we definitely found during our trials. So you need to be very diligent about getting them at the right time. And it does take a little bit to, once you do this a couple hundred times or 100 times or so in a season, it becomes much easier. Okay, like I said, it's been about a year since I put one of these on. But after you do them for a season, do a few stops, you'll get better at it. But basically, the net sits like this. But remember, there's white stuff around it. There's the fungus is on here, the larvicide is on here. And so it sits inside this container, which is full of water, sits in there and floats. So the mosquitoes, they'll go inside here. And what's good about the way this design is, the dark color, how it's kind of protected, is mosquitoes are lured to it. There's actually, with the packets, there's little tablets in there, and it creates like an odor and stuff, and the mosquitoes are attracted to it. Also, it's stagnant water, so mosquitoes are kind of attracted to stagnant water. And as this goes, it gets better and better. So first mosquitoes come in here, they land on the netting, they lay their eggs, they become contaminated. Now, as those eggs hatch, you get larvae in there. We call them wigglers, little tiny worms that are wiggling around. They actually produce more of a smell to make this more attractive. So it's almost like a snowball effect. When this sits out there, it makes it better and better. And so then that's what goes on. And also, though, it's not really attracted to the honeybees. Bees and things are not interested in something like this. They're interested in bright colors, flowers, things like that. So it's actually a very good to design, because you never see bees or other insects in this. It's almost entirely mosquitoes. You may get the occasional dragonfly land in here or something, but it's almost entirely mosquitoes that get in here. And I was shocked at just how good it targeted them and how good that worked. I was really surprised by that. Now, another question we get a lot from when we first started putting these out is, well, what if a kid or something's outside playing and gets in here somehow? But it's very difficult for anything to really get in here and mess with this. But the more important thing is the products that are being used here are they're pretty much green products. They're very, very safe stuff. There's nothing in here that's going to hurt anybody. We always follow labels and all that kind of stuff, but this is an extremely safe kind of product. Dogs and stuff, it's not as easy as you might think to knock this over. Like, that's a big question we got. Well, what if somebody comes and knocks this over and it all spills out? There are anchors that you can put in here to anchor this down, but we found last year we really did not need any of those, because if you think about it, this thing is full of water. So it's actually pretty heavy, and you kind of set it down on the ground, get it down in there, and it we didn't have any of them tip over, and because they're nice and heavy, they stay in place pretty well. Now when we're setting these up, we want to try to set them up in areas where mosquitoes are going to be. So like maybe areas where your shrubs are, maybe kind of near a deck with a little bit of a shrub or something in your flower beds, maybe where some bushes at the corner of the yard are. So you want to kind of put these in areas that are not always in direct sunlight. You want to kind of have them in partial shade possibly, because that's where mosquitoes like to be. They like to be protected from the sun during the day. So they got to be set out strategically. But again, I was absolutely amazed at just how good this product works. And we're going to be rolling this out in Raleigh and Fayetteville, very heavy this year. And the benefits, the biggest benefits are you get extremely good control with a product like this, and there's literally no fogging. Like with all of our test sites, we did zero fogging. And they basically tell you, In2Care kind of tells you can supplement fogging, and we can do that. If you want, like for example, after a heavy rain, we did notice after unusually heavy rain, you might get a little bit of an uptick for maybe a week or so of mosquitoes, because there are new areas that hold water that didn't hold water before. So you might have new breeding sites that are not yet contaminated with the larvicide. So that's one thing you need to kind of work around. But we found that if you wait, another few days or another week or so, they all get contaminated, they all disappear. And as long as you keep these things fresh and keep them changed out regularly, it's really astonishing how good the control is. But basically, to review how this product works is, there is a fungus that comes on these little sachets here, and it is a larvicide, and also the fungus itself is it kills insects. The fungus though is not harmful to humans or pets. It's only harmful to insects. And so what happens is when the mosquitoes land on this net, as it's floating inside this reservoir, the mosquitoes will pick it because of their positive charge from flapping their wings, and this has a negative charge, a coating that gives it a negative charge. The fungus will actually attach itself to the mosquitoes, and it's very, very effective. And so they'll get on that, they'll lay their eggs. Now the eggs they lay inside here are not going to be able to become adults. They will usually hatch into larvae. So whenever you see this thing and you're servicing it and you see it's full of worms or full of wigglers, that's actually great. That means it's working. It's doing its job exactly the way it's supposed to. And that's every single one of them that we use. Every one of them. We did not have any that were empty. Every one of them, we go service them, would be full of mosquito larvae. And that's actually great because that attracts more of these mosquitoes to that area. And so basically what happens on the property when you set these things up is they'll begin to kind of, I would call it like they begin to fortify the area. So mosquitoes are going in, they're landing, they're picking up this fungus, and as they go to other sites to nest, and again, that's why we're targeting the Aedes mosquito, that particular type of mosquito will drop their eggs in several different areas. And so as it's doing that, it's actually doing the work for us. This is using nature to kind of control itself almost. So these mosquitoes are getting this on there, and then they're going to all the other areas that we can't see, and maybe we can't get to with a fogger, we don't know that's there. They will find it and they will lay eggs in those areas. Those eggs will also have this fungus and this larvicide on them, and wherever they're laying the eggs, they will not be able to turn into an adults, and they will slowly do the control, do the work for us. And the beauty about that is we don't have to put a broad fogging. We don't have to put a lot of pesticide out there that's going to kill honeybees, going to kill ladybugs, going to kill other bugs that you may not want to kill. They may be beneficial bugs around your property that you don't want to target. And this is the way to not do that. This particular system is the best that I've ever seen, and this is the only reason that I've decided to get into mosquito control, which I've avoided, just on purpose, I've avoided for years. I've learned a lot about mosquitoes. I know how to do it, and I've done it for a long time, but I've never pushed it as part of one of the services we want to do. But this is probably the first time I've used a product related to mosquitoes that I actually am excited about, I feel good about, and I actually want to do. I want to provide this to people. So if you're interested, give us a call. Again, in Fayetteville, they are not set up for this yet. They're not interested in doing it this year. They may do it next year. But if you're in the Fayetteville area and you're interested in having this service, you're interested in having In2Care installed, you can call the Raleigh office, and we're glad to help you. We're going to be setting up some routes in the Fayetteville area that our Raleigh office will be servicing down here, and for this particular service. Now, if you want to just do the normal fogging, we can also do that. But if you're in the Fayetteville area, the Fayetteville office can handle that for you. But we are offering a full range of mosquito control this year, with this being the anchor, and of course the fogging and everything else is available too. But we're excited to offer that this year. So if you're interested in giving it a try, visit us at AAA You can email us at AAAexterminating@gmail.com, or I'll put phone numbers in the description, and where you can contact us and get more information. If you just want a consultation, if you'd like us to maybe bring one of these units to you and show you in person how it works and where we would set it up, that's free. Just give me a call, and we'll personally go out there and we'll show you how these work, where we would put them, and give you a breakdown on what the price would be. But we appreciate you watching, and if you're excited about this product and maybe you want to try it out, let us know. We're glad to help you.